The power that lies in the state or of government is one that is bequeathed by laws and edicts, whereas the fourth estate's power is derived from the news it reports. The public is informed by the media. It's an institution vital to communicating the goings-on of politics to the masses. The outcome being a populace that is well informed of the nature of politics and the matters of the government. In theory, this is a process that functions with truth in mind and seeks to present facts without bias. Of course, that's the ideal, and reality is not always like that. Jon-Christopher Bua is a White House correspondent, commentator, and U.S. political analyst. A longtime member of the press, he has been reporting the news for various outlets. His longtime involvement in politics has him uniquely experienced in understanding today's media.
And I think that's where the media's feet need to be held close to the fire, because it's their job as the fourth estate, and it's our job to make sure that we keep our leaders honest. And one of the quotes I led the talk off with today was basically what President Kennedy said: in a democracy, we are the boss. And we get the kind of leaders that we elect and that we deserve.
You could say that the printing press was the start of the media, with newspapers disseminating information about government and issues of state to the masses. Today's media, on the other hand, has become a diverse landscape of media outlets, not just the print media, but radio, television, and now the internet. The kinds of news that is now disseminated is so broad in scope and audience.
I think the idea of journalism has changed in so many ways. I think the heads of news organizations are no longer the heads of news organizations. They have a boss, and their boss is now a conglomerate. And an incredible percentage of news organizations since the 90s have been brought up for the purpose of deals and mergers and acquisitions. And the mom and pop newspaper doesn't exist. And I know on the journalistic level, on the people that I know, my colleagues are incredibly forthcoming and incredibly honest, and they want to be transparent. And they really want the administration to be transparent. That's their goal.
The technology today has allowed the public what in the past was the privilege of the very few. With social media and the ability to disseminate images and video from a mobile device, the public now has the ability to reach the world. We've seen the power of this utility with various political upheavals in recent times, fueled by the inability of the state to control it.
There are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of individuals out there with their cell phones and their iPhones taking pictures, recording, tweeting, and exposing regimes, dictatorships. They tried to influence the government. They tried to influence other people outside their country to give a dynamic look at exactly what's going on and what's really tearing them to pieces. And if you play on fear and you don't get individuals who have the ability to get a message out, then your society is lost. Although, especially with the young people, they're able to get stuff on Facebook, they're able to get information out on Twitter, they're able to really expose a lot of these things.
This new media is nothing short of revolutionary, and perhaps even revolution-making.
Social media is a great opportunity to expose regimes, to expose corruption, to expose inadequacy. We have what happened in Ferguson. Some of it was seen on video. We have horrendous images of police brutality in this country. We have situations where young black people in the Black Lives Matter are coming out with stories and information and videos where individuals who have been involved in getting the truth out are all equipped with weapons. But they're not weapons that we think. They're not guns and knives. They're video cameras. It's hard to, since Rodney King in this country, quite a number of years ago, the police were caught on tape, and that changed the world. And that began, in a way, the concept, in my opinion, of social media, because that went, as we call it now, viral. Police tasing an individual, choking a man to death in Staten Island, ripping a girl out of a classroom in South Carolina. All of those things, you can't get away with anything anymore. And in one way, social media serves an enormous service to countries, to citizenship, to the idea of democracy. Because if everything is out on the table, it's very hard to keep, for any regime, to keep people down. And I think it's good.
The use of this media is influential. And just as in the past, how media has been manipulated, this new social media can also be manipulated. The problem is not the media, but who wields the message and how the user adheres to truthfulness.
Yes, there are standards, there are codes, there always have been. The question is, does everybody adhere to them? I think there needs to be always the most educated individuals who are going to take that news gathering and then do something with it. And I think just flooding the internet with images and visions and points of view is fine, but then we have to understand, what's the point? What do we want to do with that? Is it noble? I still believe in the word noble. Is it true? As Hemingway used to say, right? True. He didn't say real, he said true. And I think we have to, and he was a great journalist, by the way. He was, very well-known fisherman and all that other stuff, but he was a great correspondent, and he wrote economically, and he wrote truthfully. And I tell young people to read him, to get a feel of what that's about. And there's always going to be someone who disagrees with you, and there's always going to be someone who has a different point of view, but try to get your facts straight and try to understand what it is that you're trying to do with this.
Being truthful has got to be the watchword for these times. When we can reach the world with a click of a finger, a swipe of a screen, or a simple keystroke, now the people who control the media is everyone. And everyone has the ability to spread chaos or truth.
The world has changed, and the media has changed. And the way we gather news has changed, and the way we produce news has changed. And I think it's important to be noble, to be truthful, to be honest, and to understand the situation as best you can, and go there